go on. Go to the channel. Just give it a moment, y'all. Okay, here we go. All right. All right. We're back. We're back. All right. Treatment of Cause of Peace in War Times. I am your host, Jude Kenu Nupu, and we are back. And this one is called Planet Rizq'S 3 Suns Rotation Doesn't Make Sense, Part 1. All right. We are following sound right reason. We're going for the jugular. Every time I come up here against these filthy cult members, I'm going to take a chunk out of that nasty body that they got walking around here wearing fake Egyptian regalia and worshiping homosexual aliens and everything else that ain't got nothing to do with black liberation. All right, so I'm going to let the Kens introduce themselves and then we can move forward.
Hey, True Peace is new poo.
True Peace,
Hey,
and friends.
Hold on, one of y'all talking at the same time. Hold on. Go ahead, Carl. Just hold on, Libra.
okay. Yeah, one of the assemblers and proud Noonie Boo and proud Ethiopian here building with the Noonie Boos here and getting more information. Like you said, going after the jugular, exposing and bringing a sound right reason full circle. So I'm here to get the information. True peace, everyone.
True Peace, Kings and friends. And once again, I'm Nibu Re Uno Nupu. And yeah, we back for another video, which is also going to get deeper as far as the 3 suns rotation. So I'm just getting the information, explaining and interpreting correct information towards all the filth that York plagiarized. True Peace.
All right. So we finna hop into the memorandum and then we're going to move forward.
Listen to reason. The following memorandum is the conversation each and every new Nibu of the Ethiopian race should have with New Pu at least once a day, and the name New Pu should be pronounced in mind, whisper, or out loud in the numbers order given and before the conversation starts. The numbers order given creates 2 ends as you read the name, and the 2 ends made by reading and pronouncing the name New Pu 9 times stand for New Pu and New. New Pu, 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 New Pu. Remember the promise and covenant with your messenger, and also writer, Afru Unu, and all those who learn, accept, and practice positive nature knowledge and the laws of nature, as explained and described by Noon, your active science of all the worlds. Your promise and also covenant having been duly made are binding as following: economic well-being and liberation of the Ethiopian race, mentally, spiritually, and also physically, because it is the time and cycle for this action for your posterity, the Ethiopian race, and because we all, meaning Ripu, Gipu, and Sipu and all adherents dedicate and obligate the rest of our lives to sound right reason. Who is New Pu? Positive nature knowledge, the laws of nature, also truth, equality, justice and practicing rightness, which is Noon, to the best of our knowledge and also abilities. The time for the Savior has passed. It is now time for the mental resurrection, liberation, justice, judgment, settlement, and balance for all peoples on planet Earth, as promised by the forces of nature and predicted by the ancients and sages of antiquity. Nupu, please cause it to be.
See. Now, y'all was able to see the video, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, messed up. All right, so let me go to the next one. Now, let me know when y'all can see that. Y'all can see that?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. All right. So, written by, this is Planet Risk 3 Suns Rotation Doesn't Make Sense. All right, this is part 1. Written by Jutah Kinu Nupu, New Ethiopian year 63, Nupu mental year 99, 11/25/2025, 40 months and 2 weeks till Friday 13/2029 AD. Tar as Chat GPT, true peace. I want you to explain why Mr. Your explanation of how a planet he claimed he came from is rotated around by 3 suns. I will post the pages in and then want you to respond to this scientifically. First, let's go through this layer by layer. I have never heard of that, but planets rotate around stars. Explain that statement. So this is the ignorant book that he put out. And you see he got that little moon in the back with an ankh inside the crescent. He always got the spell being casted. And I remember Chuck had already exposed this book cover was copied from a Caucasian. This is in the group. I may pull it up one day. All right, so it says, why was Nibiru exploring other planets for certain minerals and natural resources, and what would they be used for? Answer, because my 3 suns' rays depleted the ozone layer, Rizq'S, which comes from Rizq'S in Arabic, and Rizq'S in Hebrew means to provide. See, map of Ilium was the heart and source of the tri-solar system and was thus most effective. All 3 suns have a magnetic pull causing a tighter and heavier rotation of its planets. All right, so here you see these are the 3 suns that York has, and then you got Rizq'S and his moon right here. It says here, these 3 suns revolve around Rizq'S at the same time in different directions around the planet Rizq'S, which is located in the center, forming a tetrahedron, as shown on previous pages. Rizq'S uses all the colors of the rainbow in ultraviolet light, unlike here on Earth where there's only white light produced by the red ball, your sun. All right. Chat GPT responds, true peace, good layer. Let's peel this openly, cleanly, and simply. All right, where are we at? Basic physics first. Who orbits what? Gravity makes bodies orbit the common center of mass, the barycenter. Not one body magically sit still while heavier bodies circle it. Side note, the barycenter explanation, understanding the barycenter definition. The barycenter is the center of mass of 2 or more bodies orbit due to their, 2 or more bodies that orbit each other. It is a point around which these bodies orbit due to their gravitational interactions. The barycenter is not a physical object, but a dynamic point in space. How it works, in a system where one body is much more massive than the other, the barycenter is usually located within the more massive body. For example, in the Earth-Moon system, the barycenter is about 4,671 kilometers from Earth's center, which is about 74% of Earth's radius. When 2 bodies have similar masses, the barycenter lies between them. This is seen in systems like Pluto and its moon Charon. Barycenters are crucial in astronomy for understanding the orbits of celestial bodies. They help astronomers detect exoplanets by observing the wobble of stars caused by the gravitational pull of orbiting planets. The position of the barycenter can change based on the distance and mass of the bodies involved, making it a dynamic aspect of celestial mechanics. So this is the red is the path of the barycenter. And then you see this is the Earth, and you have the moon. So you can see there's a wobble. All right. Here's another one. Whereas the sun here, you see the barycenter is outside of the sun, and then its line is going straight out while it's moving, but it affects Jupiter and Saturn. Whether something rotates or orbits depends on reference frame, but physically we describe motion as an object orbiting the system, barycenter, or orbiting another body if that other body dominates the mass nearby. Why the phrasing three suns rotate around Rizq is suspicious. If York is saying three stars literally orbit a planet called Rizq, that's not physically possible in any ordinary sense. A planet's mass is tiny compared with these stars, so stars cannot orbit it. Stars orbit the system barycenter, which will lie very near the most massive object, the stars. A planet cannot be the gravitational center for stars. All right, so again, this is what we're talking about by ignorance. And when this book came out, nobody thought about that, right? None of us thought about that at all, right? That's what we mean by York was casting spells, because he put out something that's scientifically impossible. But yet we repeated this crap like it was scientifically proven. All right? Rizq is the label for the system barycenter, the common center of mass, not a small planet. In many diagrams, authors label the central point, Rizq, meaning this system's center. In that case, all three suns orbit that center of mass. That is physically correct language of Rizq also represented the barycenter or the dominant stellar mass. Either reading is far more plausible than the idea of a planet sits at the center with three suns orbiting it. I said, side note, Mr. York didn't say that Rizq was the barycenter or stellar mass. He called Rizq a planet. You must remember, Mr. York never passed the 9th grade, so it makes perfect sense that he made this up and didn't have the education it takes. Mr. York was exposed for not knowing that planets do not create galaxies. Take a look. Now, this is what we was in the group, and Kepler exposed this in July 16, 2015. This is in the Holy Tablets. All right, watch what he say. This massive sun collapsed and exploded outward, and Aum got caught in the gravitational pull of Sal, and it exploded and gave birth to your son, Shamush. All 19 of the planets were hurled off into space and exploded to create 19 galaxies in space and beyond. And we know that galaxies are made up of solar systems. Planets cannot create galaxies. You understand? So this is what we mean by being a 9th grade dropout and a dummy. All right? So, but the thing is, what you got to realize this, you don't have to finish school to be able to control people if you learn magic. So if somebody can teach you magic, you can get away with hiding your ignorance, because you can use magic to get the spirits to help you do things that a person who had knowledge could do or know. You see? And then make them more dumbfounded, because the spirits that allow people like us to follow cults or some type of group, your spirit, it dampens down your ability to tell the difference between if you being fooled or not. And that's how the world works. That's what Zupu does. It lies continuously. And it keeps the ones that's doing all the dirt, they know they pretty much got the jump on everybody. All right, so this is showing you that that unholy tablets is full of scientific discrepancies. What real triple star arrangements looks like, a quick overview. Hierarchical triple common stable. Two stars form a close binary, the third orbits that pair at a much larger distance. The inner binary and outer star each orbit the system barycenter in a stable way. A hierarchical triple star system consists of two stars that are closely orbiting each other with a third star orbiting this pair at a greater distance. This arrangement allows for stable gravitational interactions, such systems as common in the universe. So that means that this picture is a lie, because only two stars can rotate close to each other, but the third one has to be at a greater distance. And they have a term for that, and that's what they call a hierarchical triple, all right, which is common stable. All right. But again, York never finished ninth grade, so he didn't know these terms. He only knew the tri-solar system or tri-star system. All right, which you can read about that in comic books and comic books and cartoons and things like that. This is more of a scientific term, hierarchical triple. That's not something that a cult member or a cult leader would be aware of, because they mostly dominate in religion, and science and religion do not get along. All right, source DuckDuckGo, which means the drawing Mr. York produced with three suns that close is not scientifically possible. Only two can be close, but not that close, and still stars do not circulate around a planet. Compact triple equilateral type. Once again, York did not talk about this either, because he was a ninth grade flunky. All right, flunkies in this type of stuff always look dumb when you bring the truth and evidence. All right, all three bodies can, in theory, right? In theory, see, theory is close to make believe, but at least theory try to work with something that's been acknowledged as real. Make believe is a theory without that, meaning you can theorize within the belief system of the book that you believe in. All right, so York it's just a theory, right? But a made up one at that, being a roughly triangular co-orbiting configuration. But this is delicate and usually unstable unless masses and velocities are finely tuned. Once again, it says in theory, it's not proven. Dominant central star with two smaller stellar companions. If one star is much more massive, the other acts like companions and can orbit it, similar to planets orbiting a star. But interaction between the companion stars make long-term stability trickier than the planet-star case. Why the diagram can be misleading. Diagrams that show three suns around a labeled center often imply a tidy geometric picture like a tetrahedron. Real gravity doesn't produce tidy, permanent tetrahedra, except in rare fine-tuned solution. The words rotate and pull or magnetic pull used, that's what can confuse force types. Orbital motion is due to gravity. Magnetic forces between stars, planets are negligible for orbital dynamics. Short practical conclusion. If York meant Rizq'S is a massive star or barycenter and the three suns orbit that barycenter, that is physically plausible as a description of a triple star system, but the exact triangular tetrahedral geometry shown would be unusual and generally unstable without specific conditions. If he meant a planet, Rizq'S sits at the center and the three suns orbit that planet, that conflicts with gravity and is not physically viable. Tar responds, York stated that Rizq'S was the planet, and so there is no mistake. Let's deal with that which he stated on page 97. Understood. Since York explicitly stated that Rizq'S is a planet, we must treat the claim literal as he wrote it, not reinterpret it So let's deal with this strictly scientifically and directly. 1, a planet cannot have stars orbiting it. Gravity forbids it. A star has enormously more mass than any planet. A typical star, sunlight, weighs 300,000 times more than an Earth-sized planet. Even a small red dwarf weighs at least 50 to 100,000 Earths. Therefore, the star pulls the planet, not the other way around. For a star to orbit a planet, the planet must be more massive than the star. This is impossible by definition. A planet is always far less massive than a star, or it would be a star. All right, so this is just giving you more information that basic science books tell you this. All right, but York being a schizophrenic clown in a PDF file and a liar, and then trying to convince individuals that he knew didn't have this kind of education, is why most cult leaders are sent by the negative force of nature to the mentally dead. All right, because they will believe this and not check it out. Because if people checked out this book back then, there's no way this book would have lasted this long, and we just talking about it. All right, this is how spirits work. They kept these books sitting for 10, 20 years, and nobody even just thought about, let me go and look at some of these old books and look at some of this stuff and challenge it. All right. So the moment York says 3 suns rotate around the planet Rizq, the model violates basic gravitational mechanics. Real system planets orbit stars, not stars orbit planets. In every observed system, stars orbit the barycenter with other stars. Planets orbit stars because planets are too lightweight to influence stars meaningfully. Even in the most extreme exoplanet systems, the most massive known planet, a super Jupiter, is still not massive enough for a star to orbit it. The most known brown dwarf is still far below stellar mass. There are 0 examples in astrophysics of stars orbiting a planet. All right, so this is a picture of a super Jupiter, and it was crazy because the planet or the star that they seen, which Jupiter, looks similar to the one in our solar system. That means that all these planets, for the most part, look the same. They carry the same colors. All right. What York describes contradicts the 3-body, 4-body gravitational rules. Side note, Mr. York drafted his so-called 3-body star system from Sir Isaac Newton's 3-body theory, origin of the 3-body problem theory. The 3-body problem theory originated from the work of Sir Isaac Newton in the late 17th century. Newton's laws of motion and universal gravitational laid the groundwork for understanding the motion of celestial bodies. All right, the key contributors: Isaac Newton, Leonard Euler, Joseph Louis Lagrange, Henry Poincaré. All right, they lived between the year 1600s and the 1900s, early 1900s. All right, so here you can look at the design that York got, right? You see it moves like it's like a pretzel. These are images of 3-body chaos. That stuff move all around in these particular chaotic movements. All right. We can see something similar over here, the 3-body problem. They even got a movie on Netflix called The 3-Body Problem. All right. So it's talk about how it's chaotic and it's what is that word I'm looking for? It's not detectable in the way it would move. But the fact that York used these things, not understanding it, showed that he wanted to be smart, but he was too corrupt in his mind, and he'd rather pull a scheme than actually put the work in to go to the actual schools and universities that he claimed he went to. Lies. He described 3 suns all revolving around Rizq, the planet, in synchronized geometric paths in different directions, while Rizq stayed centered like a hub of the system. This fails for 3 reasons. A planet cannot be the gravitational center of 3 stars. To be the center, Rizq would have to be thousands of times more massive or a star itself. Since York called it a planet, the system collapsed. 3 stars cannot maintain symmetric orbits around a small central body. In real physics, 3 stars this close will interact violently, exchange energy, eject one another, or merge, and the planet will be torn apart. 3-body, 4-body system only remains stable when the most massive object is central, a star, not a planet. York's model ignores the barycenter. All objects orbit the center of mass, not each over or other arbitrarily. If 3 suns existed, the barycenter would lie near them, the planet would orbit them. York has it backwards. York also used the wrong force, magnetic pull. He says all 3 suns have a magnetic pull called the tidal heavy rotation. This is scientifically false. Magnetic fields between stars and planets are extremely weak over distance of millions of miles. They cannot control orbits. Orbits are created by gravity, not magnetism. This is the same type of error found in the 19th century pseudoscience. If we take York literally, the system breaks instantly. If bricks were placed at the center of 3 stars, the stars would collapse inward toward each other, not circle the planet. Their mutual gravity would dominate the system. The planet would be flung into space, vaporized, or swallowed. No stable orbit is possible. No ozone layer or ecosystem could survive. The described system is dynamically impossible. York's simple system violates every known law of orbital mechanics, stellar dynamics, barycentric motion, Newtonian gravitation, general relativity, observed astrophysical behavior of multiple star systems. It reads closer to mythology or symbolic cosmology, not astronomy. Tar responds, let me add that Mr. York shows that Rizq'S has a moon as well as is rotating around it. Explain how that doesn't work either. Also, I will add another photo drawn where Mr. York has the whole so-called galaxy with planets and moons. Remember, these 3 suns are rotating around Rizq'S, which would make Rizq'S in a tri-solar system. How can a solar system be a galaxy as well? This makes no sense. Please break down how this looks in the face of science. I'll add the picture now. So here, what York did, now he got 3 suns, Rizq'S right here, and you got all these planets and moons, and they're going around the planet, the suns, and the suns is going around Rizq'S. This is niggatry. And you see how all this stuff is all this stuff are crashing to each other because according to York, dumbass, he's saying all 3 of these was close to the point that look how close he had it drawn. Look how close this is, right? There's no way these 3 big bodies is going in different directions, rotating around this, and they pulling all of these other orbs with them. And you can see, look, there's no way they move in such a way that they can't catch up to each other and smash into the other planet.
This is a train wreck.
That's what I'm saying. This is a cataclysm times 1,000. This is dumb. You see, this is dumb lies. All right? This is what happens when 6 Ether cast spells through different cult leaders, politicians, whatever the case, this is what they do. All right? So he messed up by going into trying to make this look like it was valid. But it don't make sense. You see, it doesn't make sense. Just looking at this alone, and they rotate, they're going to crash into one another. If these stars are this close, and look how far he got the planets and stuff out. There's no way this is going to keep existing. Anybody that created something like this and they wanted life to exist, it would not last. All right, true peace. Now that you added the second diagram, we can break the entire thing down clearly, step by step, and strictly by real astrophysics. Below is exactly why every part of York's model becomes impossible the moment you accept his literal statements. Rizq'S is a planet. 3 suns rotate around that planet. 3 suns. Rizq'S also has a moon. This tri-solar system is somehow also a galaxy. Let's dismantle each layer. Why planet can I have a moon and 3 suns orbiting? If Rizq'S has a moon orbiting and 3 stars orbiting, then the orbital mechanics collapse instantly. A star's gravity overwhelms a planet. A sun-like star has 330,000 times Earth's mass, 1,000 times Jupiter's mass. So if a star passes anywhere near a planet, it rips all moons away. It strips the planet's atmosphere. It throws the planet into a new orbit, or it swallows the planet altogether. Just 1 star would destroy the moon's orbit. 3 stars would be catastrophic. Number 2, no moon orbit stays stable on the 3 nearby stars. Even in real binary star systems, moons are very unstable. In a triple star system, even with realistic configurations, moons are almost impossible to maintain. But York's model is worse. He placed the planet at the center of the 3 stars. That means all 3 stars constantly moved around the planet's moon as well. This causes tidal stripping, orbital resonance chaos, escape trajectory of the moon, eventual destruction of the planet. Therefore, a planet cannot hold on to a moon if stars are orbiting the planet. Why 3 suns cannot orbit a planet at all? This is the fundamental impossibility. Gravity rule: a smaller body orbits a larger body. Planet orbits stars. Planets are smaller. Stars orbit stars. Masses are comparable. Moons orbit planets. Moons are smaller. York reverses the entire hierarchy. See, that's how corrupt his mind is. He reverses everything. Remember, Zupu works in what? Reverse. It reverses what Nupu did. It goes against the smack circle of order. It moves in a clockwise, while the big circle and Nupu circle moves in what? Counterclockwise. So York, being a worker for Leviathan and Zupu by extension, he does things in reverse. That's what he does. All right, so this proves that he's a pure liar, and he still put this information out knowing it wasn't true. Knowing he didn't know anything about astrophysics and stuff like that. He never went to school to do that. It takes years to get to a Neil deGrasse Tyson. It takes years to become an astrophysicist and to be good at it. All right? York reversed the whole thing. 3 suns orbit the planet Rizq'S. That is only possible if the planet is more massive than all 3 stars combined, which would make Rizq'S a superstar, not a planet. York's configuration violates the most basic rules of physics. While the diagram of the tri-solar system contradicts itself, York diagram shows Apsu a sun, Utu a sun, Shamash a sun, planets orbiting each sun, moons orbiting some of those planets, Rizq'S sitting between them as if central. But here's where it collapsed. The planets orbit the suns, not Rizq'S. In the diagram, Kispis, Kumar, Elatus, Hibus, etc. orbit Apsu, Gahara, Actin, etc. orbit Utu, Fitzat, Hula, Fuzat, etc. orbit Shamash. So these are 3 separate solar systems, not planets orbiting Rizq'S. Yet York claims these 3 suns revolve around Rizq'S at the same time. This contradicts his own diagram. If 3 solar systems orbit a planet, the entire structure must collapse. Think of the scale. A solar system is billions of miles wide. A planet is thousands of miles wide. You cannot put a planet in the center of 3 solar systems with their own planets and moons all orbiting the planet. See how dumb he sounds? It is like claiming 3 galaxies orbit a grain of sand. Completely impossible. Why a tri-solar system cannot be a galaxy? York writes Ilium, the 19-galaxy tri-solar system. Scientifically, a solar system is not a galaxy. A galaxy contains 100 billion stars. A solar system contains 1 or a few stars. This is like saying my house is the entire city. If Ilium contains only 3 suns and a handful of planets, it's not a galaxy. It is a small star system. A galaxy cannot have only 3 stars. The Milky Way has over 200 billion stars. Even dwarf galaxies have thousands to millions. These 3 stars equals a tiny multiple star system, not a galaxy. The orbital diagram on page 97 is scientifically impossible. York shows Utu at the top, Apsu at the lower left, Shamash at the lower right, all orbiting a central crossing point, Rizq sitting in the middle, orbits overlapping, all moving in different directions, maintaining perfect geometry. This breaks Newton gravity, in-body mechanics, 3-body stability, conservation of momentum, conservation of angular momentum, real orbital physics. Even computer simulations of this layout produce instant system collapse. The entire model contradicts real astrophysics. York's tri-sun system violates orbital mechanics, stellar dynamics, barycenters, mass hierarchy rules, tidal forces, moon stability rules, known multi-star behavior, planetary formation science, galactic structure, in-body physics. No part of the structure survives scientific scrutiny. That means if you went to a scientific committee, I dare the Wobblers to make a copy of this dumbass book and send it off to a different scientific universities and watch what they say. They're going to say, man, get this crap out of here. Tar asked ChatGPT, what level schooling does a person have to learn this, and what field of science is this in? ChatGPT responds, high school level 9th to 12th grade. A person with basic high school science can already detect the biggest errors. Planets orbit stars, not the other way around. A planet cannot control the orbits of 3 suns. A solar system is not the same thing as a galaxy. These are introductory astronomy concepts. Undergraduate, college level. We already know York didn't get out the 9th grade, so he's automatically disqualified. See? To fully analyze York's diagrams and orbital claims, a student will usually learn Newtonian gravity, orbital mechanics, multi-body systems, and planet formations. That's in the undergraduate. This is typically taught in Physics 101 and 102, Astronomy 101, Calculus-based physics. Graduate level, a deeper critique, multi-star system stability, barycenter math, in-body chaos is typically covered in astrophysics, astronomy, planetary science, computational physics. This Negro didn't pass 9th grade. How is he making statements like this? This is pure dumbness. You do not need a PhD, but advanced understanding helps with simulating multi-star systems. What specific fields of science cover this? Here's the exact list. Astronomy, right, which covers what stars are, what galaxies are, how planets orbit stars, what solar system look like, how moons behave under gravity. This already destroys York's model. Astrophysics, gravity equations, 3-body, 4-body problems, orbital resonance, stellar mass stability, star-planet interaction. This is the field that shows why York's tri-sun orbits collapse immediately. Planetary science covers how planets form, how moons form, why moons get stripped away by passing stars, why planets cannot sit at the center of multiple stars. D, cosmology for the galaxy issue, covers what galaxies are. We already seen that York dumbass said planets went into the universe, exploded, and created galaxies. So we know he doesn't know nothing about nothing, all right? And they keep listening to this clown talking about he's the master. The master? Get yourself together. Why a 3-star system cannot be a galaxy. Physics covers Newton's law of motion, universal law of gravitation, conservation of energy, conservation of momentum. York's model violates all of these. How far apart must triple stars be for stability? Interbinary separation, 0 to 1 to 1 AU. Outer star separation, 50 to 1,000 AU away. This is vastly larger than what York's diagram depicts. York's image shows these 3 stars so close that they appear inside each other's gravitational heliospheres, inside the planetary zone. At distance that will strip atmosphere, melt moons, and destabilize orbits. This is not physically possible. So I said, okay, you stated how far triple stars must be for stability. Here are pages from Mr. York's Man from Planet Rizq book, giving the distance of the 3 suns from Rizq and the moon's distance from Rizq, and showing Rizq also moving around these unconfirmed systems. All right? So up here, York talks about the equinox of your sun is 25,920 years. And the equinox for Rizq is when all 3 of his sun moves completely around the universe once. But what did York fail to do? York failed to tell you how long is that. Why would you tell us what an equinox is in our time, but then you say, as it takes for y'all to go around the universe once, how long is that, sir? He did not put that time frame in there because he didn't have one. You see? So all of this is dumbness. He's calling the solar system a galaxy. You know this Negro don't know nothing about real time. All right? Then it says Rizq is a very abstract orbit. It goes past Utu first and around to Shamash and up and around to Apsu and back to Utu. The 3 suns are also moving. The whole motion looks like it's Adam. As it passes by these 3 suns, it goes through 3 nights and 1 day. There is a certain point that is called a bright day where the light from all 3 suns shine on the planet from all sides. However, this is also the most dangerous point for the planet. Every time the planet went through this point, those on there less and more. This also is dumb. If you riding past 3 suns, how you get night? It's nothing blocking the planet from being in the dark. This is dumb. How you get 3 nights circling 3 planets, 3 suns? Make that make sense. That is so dumb. But we didn't see that then because the spell. You see? See, I'm acknowledging the ignorance because we know how it works now. But when you read this dumbness after you done broke the spell, you say, yo, that don't make no sense. It would have made more sense to say we don't have no night on Rizq because it's 3 suns is present all the time. How you gonna get night if there's nothing blocking the sunlight from the suns? That's insane. He been watching. He must, man. Listen, when did the Chronicles of Riddick come out? Because I think this nigga right here was watching the Chronicles of Riddick. Because one of those planets in the solar system that was a prison planet. Remember, it had the sun was beaming all the time, and they had to come in when they got on the shadow side and it was hot. Let me see when it first came out. When did the Chronicles of Riddick movies come out? Okay, the first one was 2000, 2004, and 2013. Okay. Let's keep going. So he give you the time absolute 81 million miles from Rizq. That's lesser than our sun. Shamash 45 million miles from Rizq. Utu 27 million miles from Rizq. That's really close. These are real close numbers. And you say the moon was 9,000 miles from Rizq. All right. So here, this is how he claims. See, you got night up here, night over here, night over here. How the hell? Now look at this line that I'm tracing. How this is light being beamed. He's saying Rizq is going around Utu. It's nothing but light there. How you get night, nigga? Then you go all the way down and you pass Shamash. This makes no sense. Then he got night over here. Number 2. Ain't no way, nigga, you talking about this night again. Then you got night over Apsu. How? Nigga, where is he getting night from? This makes no sense. This is what we mean by spells. This is dumb. Chat GPT responds, good. Thanks for the distances. I'll take those numbers as you gave them and show step by step and in plain science why the picture you're drawing is impossible. The distance you gave converted to Apsu 81 million miles is 0.87. And that's under 1 AU, which is 93 million miles. So that's less than the sun, because it's 1 AU for our star. Then he gave you Shamash 45. That's 0.84. See, it's less. than the sun. It's lesser than Apsu. Then Utu is 0.29. That is close. Let me see. Let me see this right here. Let me do this. So we got a little time. So let me do this right here. Let me do this right here. Let me look, see if this pop up. All right, so we're gonna stop from here for a second. We'll come back. Just give me a moment, Ken. We want to put this in perspective. All right, let me know when y'all can see that.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, so here we see Mercury is 35 million miles. Now, he said the last planet was Utu is 27 million miles. That's hella close. That's Mercury is the closest to the sun. And you see how hot Mercury is. And Mercury is 35 million miles. How the hell is the sun that close to Rizq and it ain't burnt up? Venus is 67 million miles. That's more than Shamash, which is 45 million, but less than Apsu, which is 81 million. Earth is 92. So like I said, Earth is far greater. You jump to Mars, 141 million, Jupiter 483 million, Saturn 890 million, Uranus 1,787 million, Neptune is 2,798 million. So this is showing you that he didn't know what he was talking about. He was making stuff up. This is why you have to have sound right reason, and we have to have Nupu come in to guide us to getting away and exposing this dumbness, because that's what this was. And that's why York didn't put his books out in the public to be in real bookstores, because somebody would have got a hold of this in Barnes and Noble somewhere. He'd have had his book checked by real scientists. He wouldn't have lasted as long as he did. He only lasted as long as he did because of the magic that York was using. All right, can y'all see the screen? It's back to the document.
Yeah, it looks back.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, Rizq's moon 9,000 miles. That's 14,484 kilometers for scale. Earth radius 6,371 miles. All right, so that's further than the moon is from our planet. Dumbness. So York placed 3 suns at roughly 0.3 to 0.9 astronomical unit from Rizq. That's inside the range of Mercury and Earth distance in our solar system. Why 3 nights and 1 day in the atom-like motion don't work? York phrased that these 3 suns and Rizq move around each other like an atom. It's metaphoric, not physical. At the scales and masses involve gravity, not electromagnetic like atomic force. See, this is how dumb he is. They don't move around like an atom. An atom is dealing with electromagnetic atomic forces. So there's no way a planet and stars can move like that. It's based on gravity and mass. See, this is basic information. This rules motion. The 3-body problem is chaotic. It does not produce stable, neat, cyclic 3 nights and 1 day cycles unless the masses and distances are turned into a specific hierarchical arrangement, which unless numbers are not. With 3 comparable stellar masses at 0.3 to 0.9 AU, for the planet and from each other, you would not get a clean, repeating pattern of illumination. Instead, you would get rapidly changing geometry and likely catastrophic dynamical evolution, ejections, collisions, severe orbital shifts. Also, the light patterns, even the stars were arranged to produce intermediate illumination. The orbital timescale of stars at those distances would likely be short, months and years, and the planet's climate day and night rhythm would be wildly unstable. It is not a simple 3-night, 1-day rhythm. All right, so that concludes my part one of this particular topic. So let me know what y'all think.
Dissimulated, and ripped apart. Taking the veils off of it. Everything I see. Yeah, Ken, this is definitely I guess for the older heads, like, you know, the cat's out the bag if he was already thinking it for the last 20 years already. Yeah, man. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. You know, we got planets colliding against each other if that was the case, and the whole system would have been out of whack. You know, so I'm glad the Ken now can help raise the other ones out of it, because Nuna's here. I mean, if you're looking for enlightenment and getting right and getting back aligned with Almighty Nature, this is the time, and we're the ones that you should be checking out for the proper guidance and getting yourself back on your feet to self-liberate, get your mind right. That's all I can say. True peace.
Yeah. Oh my God. Truth is, just like in Noon, we know about the cataclysm that's coming. Just basically create his own cataclysm by putting those planets in equals of each other, causing mass destruction. So I mean, that just showed that he gave people a whole science, and that is by far, I mean, the worst move by misleading when it comes to science. True Pete.
So that right there gives us another clean knock them out the box. Knock them out the box, Rick. Knock them out, Rick. So we enjoy doing what we're doing, and we're gonna keep smashing and mashing on this PDF file code. Debunk what we're saying. That's how you do that, but it can't be done because they don't deal with facts. Y'all deal with religion. Sabians and Wusabat and nothing but religion and made up stuff from the dead in the past. That's what York does best. He always pulling from the dead and remixing it and giving y'all stuff to believe in. Y'all don't know nothing. Y'all just believe. Just like y'all believe y'all can get him out of jail. Ain't no way he coming out of there unless somebody corrupt and release him. But other than that, that's it. All right, so we finna shut this one down and we're gonna come right back. All right, true peace.